Okay, I got Cherokee 3 up in the air. Ran it for a while this morning. It's running good. I did pick up a master cylinder yesterday and put it in. Filled it. I've got to get some more brake fluid because I'm about out. I filled the reservoir and it's about all I had left. And whoop ya! That adapter for the oil filter, the right angle, is definitely leaking. Just a short time it sat here, it's pissed down, babe, a 10-inch freaking circle of oil. So I got to fix those, get the new gasket seals for those. Got up in the air because I'm getting ready to do brakes. And when you've had a master cylinder out and major air in the system again, best thing to do is just get the entire vehicle up in the air. Get all the wheels off. I'm going to start on this. Got my good old trusty Mighty Vac kit out. This is the best thing in the world for doing brakes. I drained the rest of this too in the of my containers I had sitting around, 3 of them. I didn't have much fluid left, so. But this is an interesting thing. So I got the first time I've taken a wheel off this Jeep. You think it's ever had a grease job? You can't even see the Zerk. Oh my gosh. You think this has ever had a grease job? A lube job? Look at the amount of shit on this thing. That's years and years. Never getting a lube job. And see, that's also what makes ball joints go bad faster. People don't maintain their shit. When I was underneath it, and I painted up underneath the front, I cleaned off, wiped off these other, Zerk joint locations under the tie rods and stuff. But this is the first I've been able to access the top ball joint. And, yeah. It's going to have to get all these cleaned off and a grease job too. I wanted to check the brakes because this has not been my vehicle ever before. I got to know I can trust driving it. So, I got to look at my brake pads. I want to know how good my brakes are. Clean this crap off. My shop vac has gotten so much work with this project. With all the burnt stuff, ash, it's cleaned up. Give a shout out to Rigid. I bought that thing probably 10 years ago, that 14 gallon. Man, it's been a great vacuum. I probably need to get another filter for it. I fill it so often, vacuuming up just crap that comes off cars. And so yeah, this is I'm gonna free up my other hand here and finish cleaning this off and start my brake bleeding. The old days, sometimes of just having a helper that can sit in there and push the brake pedal, pump it for you, and then hold it while you relieve pressure on the grease Zerk or bleed Zerk. Man, sometimes that still helps. Sometimes it's just still the best method. I've used this Mighty Vac. I do like it. It's a pull pump vacuum. You can hook the lines up to this once you open up the bleed Zerk and pump it, and it creates a vacuum inside of its own little reservoir to pull the fluid to the reservoir. On the other side, high at the top of the bottle, it's got the one you're pumping from the pump. But still, if you don't have there's very few cars I've ever worked on that have a completely easy flowing brake system. That you can open up that bleed Zerk and the brake fluid just comes flowing out. Man, there was a lot of oil all over from where it sat once it started. It's only ran like 2 days for maybe a total of 15 minutes. 6, 7, 8 minutes, and then maybe another 10, maybe about 20 minutes it's ran total since I got it started. And pumped it really good, the pedal, once I put the master cylinder in and filled it. Believe it or not, I actually started with a lot of pumping, building a little bit of pressure. Of course, it's quickly to go right back down to the floor, so there's a ton of air in the system. But anyway, I need both hands, so I'm going to get on this and end this video. So I decided to do the oil change on this thing, and you saw how burned off the paint and everything was. My oil filter looked really ugly. Starter works fine, although it's ugly too. But for all my research, I had a bad oil leak off this oil filter adapter. And these inline 6s, this right angle damn oil filter adapter apparently is a notorious thing for not being able to get the damn thing off. See a lot of guys fighting with different methods of doing it. Whenever I've got something that's frozen, I learned this on my semi-truck. Sometimes you got to use an air hammer with a little bit of a punch bit. Unfortunately, and it doesn't seal to this surface, there are O-rings on the bolt itself that goes into the block. But unfortunately I didn't. Look how many impacts it took just to get this thing turning. Bang, 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 before it finally started turning. Bang, 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 and it finally started, and it's a T60, it finally started turning. And I finally got the damn thing out of there. Now this adapter, I'd get a new bolt if I wanted to keep this. But this thing, I really don't see the purpose of it. You can get a Napa Gold 1348 filter. You can put the body of this thing, put the body of this in a vise, because your all thread is in there that I have now shoved into my oil filter. They give you what you need to take this thing out. And what the heck size socket was that? It was it's 1 inch. It's 1 inch. Remember the 90s cars, especially when Daimler and Chrysler took over Chrysler, that the bodies started becoming metric, but the engines were still fractional because they were American made. So they give you the all thread that you need to screw right into a filter. You can put a little bit smaller filter on. This is just a little bit smaller than the factory one it calls for as far as diameter goes. I think it's one size down. Your seal is exactly that same, pretty much diameter. You can put your 1 inch socket on there, back this out. You can run this into the block, and you can put a straight filter on it. I have plenty of room. I have plenty of room. But one thing I see, why the heck they got to do stupid shit like this? They put a roll pin in there. All that roll pin is for, and I'm going to grab my vice grips or channel locks, and I'm going to pull that damn thing out of there, because I got plenty of room for this filter. Look at that. And still be, once it seals, I'll get my dang big ass arm out of the way. Okay. Once this thing seals, see, look at that. I've got 1.25 inches at least. I gotta get that roll pin out of there. But I'm gonna have at least 1.25 inches sealing to that surface to the frame. So why the heck did they just put a straight filter on it instead of this right angle adapter, which they're notorious on these inline sixes for leaking from everything I've read. And this was no different. When I got this thing fired up, oh my god, that thing was dripping like a pig. So I'm going to pull that roll pin out. I'm going to put a Napa Gold 1348 in. And no more right angle for an oil filter. I'm going to be straight into the engine. I got plenty of room. Plenty of room. This all thread is not that long that I can't, not fit this filter in with no problem. And I'll eliminate this altogether. You've got to buy a whole kit for these things, which is a 3 O-ring seal, plus the one that goes around the outside, right there, to seal to the block. And these are notorious leaking bastards. See, all that roll pin is to fit down in here and keep this from turning too much. It limits its turn from about there to about there. That's all that roll pin is. It has no purpose for anything else. But of course, it stops you from, be able to just do the filter right to the block itself. This is a ZJ, so I don't know about Wranglers. Maybe they got a tire clearance or XJs, but ZJs, you can take this thing out. There is no point to this. And I hate it. I'm not going to go buy this whole thing. I'm going to just put this filter in. It's one I had on my shelf. I think I figured out a while ago this fits some of my other, or maybe the WJ2, I can't remember. No, that's a 15-16. That's a longer, skinnier, makes it easier for the arm reach hole on a WJ to go up in there and put a 15-16 on instead of the big, wide one that it calls for. But a 1348 fits. So, no problem. Same width. The O-ring will seal. O-ring will seal. It'll go right to the block. I'm taking that roll pin in, that's what I'm doing.